Hi. This morning we're going to try something new. In the future we're going to be flipping the classroom. So today is kind of the introduction to that. But we're going to be talking about building assessments in this class. To get out the door, recap and review. Pause the video here. Okay. In today's video, we're going to be talking about flipping the classroom. We're going to be looking at assessment questions and then our task for today. First up, consider how long are lectures and how long do they need to be? In actuality, lectures only need to be 9 to 15 minutes. The class time is usually 45 minutes long with lots of talking interspersed. So we put it in video, that way we condense what we say. Allowed to review, so you'll be able to download this video from Springboard and view it at any time you would like. We put the easy stuff outside the classroom, because honestly, listening to me talk isn't hard, theoretically. And guided practice is very important. It's much more important that you get an opportunity to try something new with help than to try something new and just come back confused. So the first thing we're going to address with test questions is ambiguity. Two kinds of questions are particularly susceptible to ambiguity, and that is the alternative choice and the multiple choice questions. So the first example, true or false, this might be, Dr. List's child's name is Zeno. Well, technically I do have a child named Zeno. He's a pretty cool kid. But you might not know Zeno. You might only know Sophia. So you might say that this is false. Here you might say Dr. List's oldest child is named Zeno. It's a little bit more specific, talking about specifically which child I mean. The first question could even be a trick question. It could be false. Dr. List has two children, Zeno and Sophia. So you want to avoid any ambiguity. You have no idea knowing how your students are going to look at these questions. More ambiguity. The president is A. Barack Obama, B. Vladimir Putin, C. Bill Clinton, or D. Francois Hollande. Each of those is a correct answer to this question. A more accurate question is the current president of the United States is, and that would be A. Barack Obama. If I left the word current out, it might also be Bill Clinton, because he was the president of the United States. You cannot blame your students for your own ambiguities in the questions. Thoughts on matching. The book indicates that having more choices on one side of a matching question than the other is better. And in all things in education, it depends. So, if we're setting up a multiple choice question and there are many selections on one side and only a few on the other, well, are we setting our students up for success or failure? Are we asking them to put different terms into different categories, in which case, sure, we're setting them up for success so that they can be successful in understanding the content. If we have a whole bunch of dates on one side and a whole bunch of events on the other, and there's more dates than events, then it might just be confusing. So you have to ask yourself, am I setting my students up for success? And am I making the question more challenging, or is it just becoming confusing? Completion questions are often a very good way of knowing what your students know. Ambiguity is par for the course. When you put up a blank on a page, the students might fill it in with a correct answer that you had not intended. That is rather difficult to get around. One way that you can mitigate ambiguity is by using an answer blank. If you use an answer blank, your students can easily see that you have a certain set of expected answers, and then they can guess from that answer blank. The other thing here is to be careful not to answer questions later in the test. If you're testing students for content knowledge to see what they know, you want to be careful that you don't give them the answers. Clever students will very quickly pick up on this and be able to go back into the test and answer questions from other related challenges. Essay questions. We've talked about this a little bit before, but carefully judge each word in your essay prompt. Don't just give your students an essay that you wrote up on a whim. Write clear expectations for any written work. If you expect your students to provide you with a 3-paragraph answer for your essay question, make sure you clearly indicate that you're expecting 3 paragraphs. If one of those should be an introduction and another the conclusion, make sure you include that information as well. Before you give your students the essay question on your test, make sure you write a sample answer. Remember, you're the content expert. So if you can't answer that question pretty well in under 2 to 3 minutes, chances are your students will not be able to answer it very well within 10 to 15 minutes. Remember, they're the content novices. They're just learning about this stuff. So allow your students 10 to 15 minutes for every 2 to 3 minutes that you spend, on average. Now, this is going to depend based on what content you're teaching and what grade level and so forth. But remember, test out your essay questions before you teach. Okay, here's our class task. You're going to be writing 2 alternate choice questions, a matching question with 5 to 6 points. Write 2 fill-in questions, so this is fill in the blank, 2 multiple choice questions, and 1 essay, just the prompt. We don't need the extra instructions right now. Now, if you are in the early learning curriculum, you're going to have to do some very creative things. Your matching might be line up the pictures with the numbers or line up the colors with the correct letters. You might just do very basic matching. Your fill-in might be paste a square here. Your multiple choice questions likewise might be similarly gauged towards students. Your essay prompt might just be copy this sentence if you're working on basic language comprehension and so forth. We're going to have a lot of fun in today's class, but next class we're going to be talking about accommodations. We're going to be talking about day 1 in your unit plan, and we're going to be talking about adding in technology integration pieces. So when it says the online portion or online assignment, this is what we're talking about. We want to make sure that your technology is included in your unit plan. Ticket to the class is given at the end. See you soon.